Hi everyone, Sue here from Mud Puddle Farms. It's a gorgeous day here today on the farm, and I've looked at the window many times and seen all of the dandelions that we've had and thought, I've always heard different things that you can make tea and salves and all these wonderful things from dandelions, and they're not just a weed. So since I've seen them recently and thought of how much of an abundance we have, I've decided that I'm going to give some of them a try. I have plans for a dandelion tea that I'll drink right away, some tea that I'll make to have for later, and an infused oil that eventually I'll turn into a salve. So what I do is, well, first we make sure that we're taking the dandelions from an area where we know there's no pesticides or anything else. So I'm in the side yard of the house where the dogs do not frequent, and we don't use any chemicals here on the farm for any weed control, so I know that I'm okay here. So always make sure that you do that. What I will do is we'll be taking just the flour on some. This will go towards my infused oil and my tea that I will have right away. And some I will take right down to the root of the plant. And you can even get some of these leaves. Apparently they have good uses too. So I'll get the leaves and everything. So I'll do some harvesting and I'll be back to show you my next step. Okay, so we're back inside. As you see, I've got my dandelions. We're going to start first with dandelion tea, because this is something that I'll be having right away. So I've put about a quarter cup-ish of the just the blossoms in there. Shake out any little bugs. And now I'm going to pour water over this. Now I need to remember not to use boiling, scalding water. It'll kill the flowers. I've heard that on another video, so I'm going to take that as a good tip, and it kind of makes sense to me. So I did boil my kettle, but I let it sit for a little while, so we're going to add the water. Oh, it's still pretty hot, so hopefully we'll be okay. So that we're going to have about a cup of a tea. I'm just going to place a lid, a plate, on top, and we're going to let that sit for about 9 minutes to steep. So I'll take you and I'll show you what I've done with the rest. Okay, so next step after making the tea, and while it steeps, is to, lay out your flowers on your stems, put them in a nice dry place. These full ones are going to be used for a dry tea that I can use for a while. Apparently, I've heard that you can store your dried tea as long as it's dried out completely for a few months and enjoy it when you'd like. Didn't do too many to give this a try, but this should be enough to sample it out. So these will sit in the sun until they completely dry out. And however long that will take, we don't know yet. That will be an experiment, and I'll keep you updated on that. I already have sitting in the sun, very bright, but is the blossoms, and I'll let them dry for a day, and tomorrow I will put them into an infused oil, and that will be the next step, you see. Okay, we're back for our next step of making dandelion infused oil. I dried all the flowers out. It's been pretty much a day, so as you can see, they're all dried out. Filled the jar 3/4 full. That's pretty much 3/4 full. Apparently you can use any kind of oil. I'm using olive oil because that's what we have. You just very slowly fill the jar with oil, covering all the flowers. And you want to fill this right up to the top. I see there's lots of air bubbles, so that's the next step. You have to get all of these air bubbles out. I heard you can use a wooden skewer or a butter knife, whatever works, but this is a very important step. I think that the idea is that it would rot if there was any air bubbles. Some people have said this takes a while, and of course it is a little hard to see with all the flowers in the way. See, but most of them appear to be on the top. Well, I'll pick at this a little bit more, get all these air bubbles out, and then my next step is to seal this up. Label your jar so you don't forget. See my fancy masking tape label. And set it aside in a dark, cool place for up to 2 weeks. This is my first experiment, but I have heard that if you leave it longer than 2 weeks, it will spoil. The flowers will mold and it'll all be ruined. So I'll leave it for no more than 2 weeks and we'll be good to go. I want to mention that I forgot to come back yesterday and tell you how my dandelion tea turned out. It's absolutely awesome. A little bit of sweetener, which it definitely needed because it was bitter, but all in all, it turned out pretty good. So thanks for watching.